Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown, and we're back. We're alive like the Undertaker. We have risen up from the casket. I got my man Boomer, aka Jared Gray, and this is P2P on the CFB Nation Network. Boomer, how we doing, my man?
Man, I'm so excited to be back. So glad P2P's back. You know, it's been a ride last couple of months. You've been holding it down. I've been working harder than I ever wanted to since I retired. But here we are. I'm back, and we're back. Let's be real. So
we're gonna pick up right where we kind of left off. I mean, where we ended was the end of season, right? And we kind of just did like a recap. But we're gonna break down like we did last year. We're gonna go conference to conference, break down the teams. We're gonna start out the Sun Belt this year. That's gonna be the first conference we're gonna break down. And right off the rip, we're gonna talk about James Madison. Now, a great season. Right, 11-2 overall, 7-1. Kirk Signetti, the man, the guy just gets it done. But problem is Kirk and a whole mass of troops done got up and left, went on down to Indiana, and like I said, he took a lot of his guys with him. Real quick, we'll go through the losses here. Elijah Surratt gone, Reggie Brown gone by graduation. Jordan McLeod, he's gone. He went on to Texas State. Kalen Black, running back, he's gone. He went on to Indiana. Tyson Lawton, gone. Indiana. Tight end, Zach Horton, gone. Indiana. Top linebacker they had, Hayden Fisher, 100 tackle guy, gone to Indiana. You see the common denominator here is Indiana. Now, before we just get breaking out, what are your thoughts about Kirk? What he did for James Madison and the departure?
I mean, here's the thing is, James Madison can't be mad about what the guy's done. He's put them on the map. He's done very well there. Mm-hmm. He put a great program together, but you don't go to James Madison to say, hey, this is the spot. This is my dream school. This is where I want to be.
Right.
It's just not. Now, don't get me wrong, Indiana probably isn't either. So,
right.
It could happen again to Indiana because it's just, we're not talking about the Hoosiers basketball team here. We're talking about their football team. So Don't get me wrong, what he's done, phenomenal. What taking your guys with you, understandable. It sucks for JMU. But one of those guys like Reggie Brown, he's a grad transfer.
Right.
Good on you, bro. Like you do you. Surratt, we were talking about him being there anyway. Like, so he's part of that whole family, went North Carolina and stuff like that. For me, losing Fisher is just wild, bro. Like, that dude's. He's a dude, and the thing is, the smart thing for him, he goes to, a conference where he can actually get known for, get shown, because that's part of your move. Like, why am I moving? So I can go to the show. And let's be real, he has 108 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, and 7 PBUs. He going to the pro. So, that's why he makes that move.
Right.
Kalen Black, get it. Good for him. But he's already been replaced easily, in my opinion. So the two transfers in with just.
We'll get to that. It will trend in a different direction certainly, but that's 31-4 at James Madison in 5-year time. You're not gonna shake a stick at that. Obviously, a couple championships. You know what I mean? Well, but now comes in right. Bob Chesney coming in from Holy Cross. This is no first time guy. 44-21 at Holy Cross in 6 years, right? 5 Patriot League championships from 2019 to 2023 for Holy Cross. They were literally a top running program in the country. I think they averaged almost 6.5 yards a whack. So, like I said, they lost an identity with Signetti and the guys that had taken with him, right? Pretty much on the offensive side, and then that main catalyst and the linebacker Colin Fisher. But they brought in a lot of guys, and they brought in guys I think that are going to fit this style system that Chesney's got there. Like I said, it's a ground and pound type setup. Then people say, well, McLeod's gone. Yeah, and the guy that's replacing him might have been by default because Michael Penix was in the room, couldn't get time to play. But Morris isn't really a stud. You're looking at a guy that was a P5 starter as a freshman, right? So, like, they're getting a little bit of veteranship coming in there, and I think that he will fit that role in James Madison under Chesney's system. Like last year, right, they had 284 yards passed per game, 134 rushing yards per game, James Madison, 418 yards total, right? They averaged, they only gave up less than 20 points per game, which is 20 days. But that 134, I think that goes up probably another 30, 35 yards per, right? They probably get 170, 165. What are your thoughts that?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. You know, if you get to 150, you know, I'd say, which I mean, it's 15 yards per. We could see 160, no problem. You know, I think we can all argue JMU is going to bring in better players than Holy Cross is. It's just what it is. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is what it is. Plus, Holy Cross, it ain't easy in that school, by the way. You know what I mean?
Academics, baby.
I mean, it's James Madison, really solid school in general, but like I'm with you. I really feel like they're going to bring some people. They've already brought in some people. We'll get to that in a second. But the yards per game I'm with you. I think it goes to 160. Yeah. At which, give me all of it.
But that's what I'm saying. Right? And we'll slide right over to it. Now, like I said, I mentioned already Dylan Morris coming over from Washington. Like I said, he sat for 2 years. But as a freshman, right, 60% completion, almost 2,500 yards. Now, the TD interception ratio, we got to clean that up. But he was a freshman. It was 14-12. But like I said, a freshman in the P5. Now you're bringing that experience over to the Sun Belt. It's kind of a little bit of a notch down. You should be able to lock and load and be ready. We should get that with a better TD INT ratio. Right.
I mean, you can add 1,000 yards to his passing.
I'm with it. I think that shouldn't be a problem. I think you should get right around 3,400 yards. And I would like to see on a floor end, give me 20 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Give me 20 touchdowns. Try to get that down to if you can get it less than double digits, you know, in 8 or 9, I'll be cool with that. But like I said, that backfield is what I think they stacked up. They lost. It was ripped down. Everybody was ripped down from the bottom up, and they lost everybody. And now we have Ayo Adedeo, right? We have George Pettaway. Pettaway's coming in from UNC as a freshman, right? He had 20 attempts for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was kind of a non-factor last year. Obviously, we know why Marion Hampton kind of took over and was the top 5 running back in the country, right? But Ayo Adedeo came over from North Texas, and he was a dude last year. 140 attempts, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. I think this two-headed monster in this backfield, I think these guys are going to play well off each other, and they're going to work well in this Chesney system. Give me your thoughts real quick before we get into these other addeds.
So here's why I look at Adeo being the bigger ad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he was at North Texas and whatnot, but you knew what they were coming with, and for him to do what he did, 1,000 yards rushing there, I really thought that he was going to TCU or Baylor. I really thought it was going to happen. You know, staying in state. So when you look at it, it's like, hey, you know what? This coach averaged 6.5 yards a carry. You know I'm going to get the ball. Why not showcase what I've got left?
Right.
You know, in college. And if he does that again and then some, because he will do and then some, I have no doubt about it. If I'm a fantasy football player in college, you know, shout out to our guy. This is one of my sleeper dudes for sure. Like, I'm going to get this dude in the later rounds and eat for 1,200 yards.
If not more. I think it could have double-digit touchdowns, and I think this guy could get close to 1,500 yards. I know Pettaway is a great talent coming in, and we saw a flash of him his freshman year.
A really good 1-2 punch.
That's what I'm saying. You got kind of like a thunder and lightning. One guy has more of that, like, in between the tackles. One guy can run to the outside. They both have decent, receiving capability. But again, they lost both of the top wide receivers. And I'm not saying a guy coming in from UConn is going to save the world, but Cam Ross, okay? when they say, you did the best with what you got, right? UConn was more of a running school. Had more of a running quarterback. They had a two-headed monster. Victor Rosa got hurt later on, but Cam Edwards emerges as the guy. That backfield was steady, right? And Cam Ross got 44 receptions for 550 yards and a touchdown in an offense that maybe threw the ball about 30% of the time. So to put up those numbers, that guy did the best he could with what he got. And now he's going into a system. Again, we just stated they're probably going to be run heavy. But what comes along with the run heavy scheme? The play action, right? You get him the bite in the run, boom, all of a sudden. Now, this guy could all of a sudden put up 5-6 touchdowns after having, not many, one, and put up the same amount of receptions, but the yardage could be better because it could be bigger plays downfield for himself. So I'm not saying this guy's going to be one of the top receivers in the country, but I think Cam Ross could be a guy that leads this wide receiver room. I mean, because there's not much coming back. Taj Hudson, 8 receptions, 88 yards. Maxwell Moss, those are probably going to be the other two starters. Minimal production on the field last year, okay? Those two main guys in Brown and Surratt.
I completely agree.
So I think Cam
Ross going to have a year, 65 to 70 receptions.
That's what I think. I'm with you right there. I don't think there's anybody really in the room to challenge him or even has that experience of production of on-field play. Defensively, they got some guys as well. We now got Terry Lockett, right, from Syracuse. Terry Lockett, DN, playing in a P5 school, 26 tackles, 3 tackles lost, 3 PBUs. I think he's going to be locking down the left side. A couple guys I got in here, 2 guys in Holy Cross, Eric O'Neill, Jacob Dobbs. You're looking at 200 tackles between the two of them at the linebacker position. Over 35 tackles for loss and 12 sacks between the two of them. They know what they would do. They did the same thing that the guys left James Madison to go with Signetti went to. These two gentlemen said, all right, my boy, I'm going to follow you, Chesley. I'm going to go with you. We produced well with you. At Holy Cross, we'll follow you over there to James Madison. I think they're going to just be plug and play, kind of like Fisher, that the production between Fisher will be split up between both of those guys. I think one of them guys might actually get 100 tackles on its own. It looks like that Dobbs gentleman is an absolute stud. And you get a guy, Summerall, right? Florida product, played at Florida, transferred over to South Florida, 21 tackles, 4 tackles for loss in the sack in I think it was 7 games. Raymond Scott comes over to the linebacker position. So they're deep at the linebacker position. They're deep, on the line, which I think what I was reading, there could be a lot of rotation between guys on the edge and in the linebacker position. They could go 4-3. They could go 4-2-5 with Chesley now being as the head coach. What are your thoughts on the defensive scheme and the guys that they brought in?
So my favorite ad is Eric O'Neill. I think he's a phenomenal player. 80 tackles there in general. I mean, it's hard to fumble through that system as it is at Holy Cross, right? Because it's a lot of looking at triple option and hoping you get through and different things when overall in that conference. But I think he's going to get to come downhill more. And 23.5 tackles for loss is ridiculous, by the way.
Right.
I mean, that is, I don't care who you are. That's super impressive to me. DJ Cotton Jr., watching him coming out of high school, really, we talked about him going to West Virginia. Listen, we knew he was going to sit because they had so much in front of him that were older classmen. So I actually think that was a great grab. He's much better than his star. He's a minimum 3-star. So I think West Virginia actually lost a really good defensive tackle there. Like you already talked about Terry Lockett being defensive end, 26 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. I actually think we're going to see a big jump for him, as we should, because he played sparingly overall. Even though he was a start, he's still in a rotation quite a bit. I think it's a great group in general that he brought over. I mean, talk about getting some star power, Power 5 players to come over to JMU. What he did is ridiculous, especially being a Holy Cross coach. It's not like it's a Power 5 coach bringing Power 5 players with him, like we watched, JMU's coach take JMU players with him. So, you take your guys, I get you that. But man, what a great transfer class, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, they got ripped down, but I feel like they did well with the remodel. And now I mentioned that the linebacker room was deep. They also have Taurus Jones, who's returning. This guy had 120 tackles last year. 14
they got Dobbs too, right?
Yeah, they got Dobbs. He came from Holy Cross, but I'm saying Jones was returning from Madison. He stayed there. That's 120 tackles to it. And this guy had 15 tackles for loss. He's also great in dropping back coverage at 5 PPUs. that over the last 2 years. So this dude is going to be probably the focal piece, and then Dobbs and O'Neal will be around him. You got the safety in Jacob Thomas, 54 tackles, 6 PBUs, and then Chancey Logan, right? 62 tackles, 16 PBUs, and 2 interceptions. I mean, they got some guys in that secondary that are ball hawks. They may not, be able to complete the play. They may not get the turnovers, but they're not going to let you get easy receptions. So I think with what he's got, the style, we're going to see a totally different style of offense, okay? Like I said, and you might see a change on defense. They might run that 4-2-5 with what they have. You got a bunch of linebackers in the room that can't cover, right? And you have a nickel guy. It's going to be a little different scheme all around what you see. Offensively, I think it's going to be really ground and pound heavy. And I think Dylan Morris is going to show you what a lot of people probably forgot about him when he came in as that true freshman.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, keeping like Logan, that's a player. I mean, 62 tackles, and 16 PBUs, just that many pass breakups out of a player. Just that you can depend on him and just kind of put him by himself. To put somebody on an island is phenomenal, especially when you're trying to build your team. Knowing there's players that you can just leave alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
eliminate one side of the field.
Yeah. I mean, your safety in DB and Thomas and Logan, just like let them play. And now I've got to worry about everybody else. That's got to be honestly so like such a relief coming in as a coach in general, where you don't have to worry about something.
Well, it's veterans, exactly like you said. You know what you got, and you know that all right, those guys on the left side, they have it locked down. You want to talk about comfortability again? 3 guys returned on the offensive line: Cole Potts, Tanner Morris, and Tyshawn Wyatt. Wyatt kind of rotated in as a starter, but towards the latter end of the year, he was the guy. So those 3 guys come back, which will kind of help them be comfortable in whatever style of offense they want.
It's such a big deal, though. I mean, if you're going to be a running team and you got 3 starters on your offensive line, you got to feel good about it.
Yes. So. Any return in protection up front is always an added bonus. Let's get into the schedule here, okay? And we'll give predictions of what we think after this. But right off the rip, 8:31 at Charlotte, right? August 31st. Seems like everybody's starting on the 31st, 30th.
Hey, that game's going to be wild at Halloween, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's going to be not Halloween, but August. I mean, it's going to be just because Charlotte, right? Charlotte, and they'd be bumping heads in general. So, not being Halloween. But I mean, what I'm saying is Charlotte and JMU do not love each other.
No. It's a love-hate, more over the hate.
Yeah.
Then at 9-7, they got Gardner-Webb, okay? And then we got a big test here. September 21st, they're traveling to North Carolina. That will be a big one for them. Following week, back at home against Ball State on September 28th. October 5th, they travel to La Monroe. Then October 10th, versus Coastal Carolina. Another team we'll get into in a few weeks who is kind of on a remodel. October 19th, they travel to Georgia Southern. Then October 26th, they'll be at home against Southern Miss, another team I think will be trying to find identity as well this year. November 9th, at home, first Georgia State. November 16th, on the road at Old Dominion. November 23rd, this is the rematch here against App State, who got them last year. And then they close out the season, first Marshall at home on November 30th. What do you think about this schedule? And give me your prediction for win total.
So I'm sitting there trying to count wins as went down the list. I think they win 3 of the first 4. I think they run into a wall at the end. That's such a tough at the end. North Carolina's a tough one, obviously. I think App State doesn't. That's a team I really got to look at, but they've always been so tough. Yeah. Playing at App State and at Old Dominion back-to-back weeks, that's a rough run right there. I don't care. And anybody in that Sun Belt Conference is going to have an issue with them. I don't know what happened to Old Dominion, but they must have ate their Wheaties in the last couple of years because they're a really solid team.
That defense, bro. That defense keeps them in, man.
It all started when they beat Virginia Tech at home. And we were like, what? And I mean, Vautech is one of the greatest entrances on the planet in Sandman. So that was crazy. For me, I really think they've got 3 or 4 losses here. It's going to be tough, though. I think they lose North Carolina. I think that's, like I said, they went 3 of the first 4. UNC gets them. The ones that's tough for me, Georgia Southern is going to be a very tough matchup at Georgia Southern. For some reason, they just show up. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they do. But so I actually think Georgia Southern barely gets them. And again, I don't think they lose the home game. Just so we're clear, I think they beat Marshall. They beat Georgia State. They beat Southern Miss, beat Coastal Carolina, Ball State, and Gardner-Webb.
So you're going 9-3.
I think they're going 9-3.
Oh boy, here we go. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, it could be much worse.
I'm gonna go 11-1, and I don't think the loss is at North Carolina.
Really?
I don't think that they. Yes, I said they got a facelift. I don't think they skip a beat. I think this run game is going to be the hot coal in this locomotive. It's going, and with that defensive production that they returned, they lost it, but they're filling it right back in with his guys, right? And that secondary is veterans. Listen, I think they could beat. I don't trust Max Johnson. Do you trust Max Johnson? Yes, I know they have a Mallory and Hampton, but you're going to have a defense that's predicated on stopping the run with a nose tackle, a defensive tackle, and 3 linebackers that all they know about is looking for leather, right? They're going to be all over Hampton. He may get his 100, but if that's the focal point of that offense, I can't see them scoring more than 20 points. I just can't. I don't trust Max Johnson. The people at College Station didn't trust Max Johnson. I'm not sure Mac Brown trusts Max Johnson right now. You know what I'm saying? So week 3, UNC is going to still be looking for an identity. He's going to be trying to figure shit out. I think that James Madison can squeak this one out. Now, the game the 2 games that I'm a little bit worried about, the App State on the 23rd App State seems to give them a hard time. Okay, Joey Aguilar is a great dual threat quarterback. It's going to be at App State, right? They have Robinson at the wide receiver who's asleep at 1,000 yards last year. So that game could go either way. I want to see how that defense at App State does. I want to see how the loss of Nate Newell at the running back position, how they fill that in.
I agree.
It's the Georgia State game at home.
Yeah, it is a tough game. It's just the only
reason I gave it Dell McGee
because it was at home.
Dell McGee brings a presence from Georgia of I've done this with the best of the best. Okay. I'm going to come in here. We're going to take back Georgia, right? We'll light it blue, and this is what we're going to do. I think that game, with a new regime over there, that game could go down to the wire. Could go either way. Those are the 2 games. I think they can beat the Georgia State. I really think they squeaked that game out. So the loss to me, I think it's going to be, kind of like, here we go again. I think App State's going to have their number. At home, that place gets wild. It gets loud. I have a funny feeling that they're going to be, Joey Aguilar did it as a young buck. Now he's experienced over there. So I'm going to go 11-1. I think they win this division, right? And I think that by the end of the year, the Dukes are going to probably be knocking at the door at top 25. Because at some point, when they're undefeated and they're on this run, at that point, they'll be, 10-0? Right? They'll be 10-0. They'll lose that game, and I expect them to beat Marshall and finish at 11-1. At 10-0, they'd have to be in the conversation. If not top 25, top 30, right? They've got to be.
I will tell you this: if they're 10-0 going into App State, they win it all. They go undefeated.
Ooh, I love it. I don't see. You see, this is see what I
mean because there is no letdown now. It's already a rivalry. It's already built into such a great game, right? If you are 10-0 and you know that, hey, we are that team, right? You're going to win it all. But like I said, I think Mac Brown is too good of a football coach to let James Madison and the new Holy Cross coach come in and beat him.
They lost to App State.
I get that, right?
I'm just saying.
but North Carolina isn't going to lose to Air Force. So
right. But you got to understand, those guys that they lost to, that team was rated at that point. They was no dudes already.
Air Force, man, they're tough to play.
And you were playing with like 3rd and 4th stringers because most of your starters had already entered the portal. They were gone. They weren't playing, and your coach was gone. You had a interim coach for that game and all of that. So it's like I take that as a grain of salt.
it is going to be. I mean, like I said, they could easily be 11-1 and their loss be UNC. They could be 10-2 UNC App State.
Right.
So I'm with you. I think it's a very good. The transfer portal class was phenomenal for them.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the guys they brought in recruiting were really strong 3-stars.
Yeah.
So,
hey, listen, I'm a big KJ Flo fan who adds to the secondary. Right, another 3-star out of North Carolina. Dylan Williams, a wide receiver, 3-star wide receiver out of Georgia. Was it? I think it's Marcellus Nash on the edge. He might be in rotation, right? His freshman year, 3-star edge, and then Tajay Hopper, another safety, add to that secondary 3-star. The guy that I like, for some reason, because he's a dual threat guy and he has an absolute cannon, 3-star QB JC Evans. If for some reason things don't work out with Morris, and this kid can catch on quickly, watch out. But for our friends that are watching at home, if you're in a Debbie League or a C2C league, he could be a guy next year for them. And if he sits a year behind Morris and polishes that passing game skills, he has a howitzer. He's not afraid to sit in the pocket, but he did rush for almost, I think it was 550 yards last year in high school. He had 20 total touchdowns combined. Evans is a guy, a little more experience, a little bit learn curve here. We won't see him this year, I don't think, but it's a guy next year that they have in the pocket to groom and set up and go. So I love what Madison's got going. I love that they went from Signetti and had a nice solid replacement in Chesney. And like I said, I don't think they skip a beat. I think they win the Sun Belt Conference, and I think they go 11-1.
It's a hot take. I mean, that's for sure. Especially when most people are going to bet against them. I mean,
right.
So
I won't. I'm with the Dukes. All right, it's CFB Nation. It's P2P. I'm Nino Brown. That's my guy, Boomer, aka Jared Gray. We'll be back on the next episode. We'll be talking about App State. We're going to do the east side of the Sun Belt first. Then we'll do the west side. And then we'll hit another conference. Boomer, as always, take us away.
Hey, let's go.